Country House won the 2019 Kentucky Derby after maximum security became the first victor in the race's 145-year history to be disqualified on the day. The favorite crossed the line first in front of 150,000 fans at Churchill Downs but was ruled to have impeded other horses in the $3 million race. Maximum security was disqualified after a steward's inquiry lasting 20 minutes. It left 65-1 outsider Country House, ridden by Flavian Prat for trainer Bill Mott, to be declared the winner. The decision to strip maximum security of the victory was later criticized by U.S. President Donald Trump, who blamed it on political correctness. "The Kentucky Derby decision was not a good one," Trump tweeted. "It was a rough and tumble race on a wet and sloppy track, actually, a beautiful thing to watch," he added. Only in these days of political correctness could such an overturn occur. The best horse did not win the Kentucky Derby, not even close. Country House is the second biggest priced winner of the race, which is the first leg of U.S. flat racing's Triple Crown. No horse had ever been disqualified immediately after winning the United States' biggest race, though Dancer's Image was stripped of the title in 1968 after a post-race test showed traces of a banned substance. Maximum security veered out of line on the final turn and impeded War of Will and Long Range Dottie. It meant complaints were lodged and stewards reviewed footage and interviewed riders before announcing the disqualification. As the controversial disqualification was announced, Maximum Security's rider Louis Sees, who had earlier been celebrating with trainer Jason Service, put his head into his hands. "It's a bittersweet victory, but I've got to say our horse ran very well and our jockey rode very well," said 65-year-old trainer Mott after his first Kentucky Derby triumph. The next step of the Triple Crown is the Preakness Stakes on 18th of May, followed by the Belmont Stakes on 8th of June. Only 13 horses in history have won all three races, with Justified doing so last year. Horse racing is an equestrian performance sport, typically involving two or more horses ridden by jockeys, or sometimes driven without riders, over a set distance for competition. It is one of the most ancient of all sports, as its basic premise, to identify which of two or more horses is the fastest over a set course or distance, has been unchanged since at least classical antiquity. Horse races vary widely in format, and many countries have developed their own particular traditions around the sport. Variations include restricting races to particular breeds, running over obstacles, running over different distances, running on different track surfaces, and running in different gates. While horses are sometimes raced purely for sport, a major part of horse racing's interest and economic importance is in the gambling associated with it, an activity that in 2008 generated a worldwide market worth around $115 billion. Horse racing has a long and distinguished history and has been practiced in civilizations across the world since ancient times. Archaeological records indicate that horse racing occurred in ancient Greece, Babylon, Syria, and Egypt. It also plays an important part of myth and legend, such as the contest between the steeds of the god Odin and the giant Hrungnir in Norse mythology. Chariot racing was one of the most popular ancient Greek, Roman and Byzantine sports. Both chariot and mounted horse racing were events in the ancient Greek Olympics by 648 BC and were important in the other Pan-Hellenic games. It continued although chariot racing was often dangerous to both driver and horse, which frequently suffered serious injury and even death. In the Roman Empire, chariot and mounted horse racing were major industries. From the mid-15th century until 1882, Spring Carnival in Rome closed with a horse race. 15 to 20 riderless horses, originally imported from the Barbary coast of North Africa, were set loose to run the length of the Via del Corso, a long, straight city street. Their time was about 2 minutes 30 seconds. In later times, thoroughbred racing became, and remains, popular with aristocrats and royalty of British society, earning it the title Sport of Kings. Historically, equestrians honed their skills through games and races. Equestrian sports provided entertainment for crowds and displayed the excellent horsemanship needed in battle. Horse racing of all types evolved from impromptu competitions between riders or drivers. The various forms of competition, requiring demanding and specialized skills from both horse and rider, resulted in the systematic development of specialized breeds and equipment for each sport. The popularity of equestrian sports through the centuries has resulted in the preservation of skills that would otherwise have disappeared after horses stopped being used in combat. There are many different types of horse racing, including flat racing, where horses gallop directly between 2 points around a straight or oval track. Jump racing, or jumps racing, also known as steeplechasing or, in the UK and Ireland, national hunt racing, where horses race over obstacles. Harness racing, where horses trot or pace while pulling a driver in a sulky. Saddle trotting, where horses must trot from a starting point to a finishing point under saddle. Endurance racing, where horses travel across country over extreme distances, generally ranging from 25 to 100 miles. Different breeds of horses have developed that excel in each of the specific disciplines. Breeds that are used for flat racing include the thoroughbred, quarter horse, Arabian, paint, and Appaloosa. Jump racing breeds include the thoroughbred and AQPS. In harness racing, standard breeds are used in Australia, New Zealand, and North America, when in Europe, Russian and French trotter are used with standard bred. Light cold-blood horses, such as Finn horses and Scandinavian cold-blood trotter, are also used in harness racing within their respective geographical areas. There also are races for ponies, both flat and jump and harness racing. In most horse races, entry is restricted to certain breeds, that is, the horse must have a sire, father, and a dam, mother, who are studbook approved individuals of whatever breed is racing. For example, in a normal harness race, the horse's sire and dam must both be pure standard breds. The exception to this is in quarter horse racing, where an appendix quarter horse may be considered eligible to race against standard quarter horses. The designation of appendix refers to the addendum section, or appendix, of the official quarter horse registry. An appendix quarter horse is a horse that has either one quarter horse parent and one parent of any other eligible breed, such as thoroughbred, the most common appendix cross, two parents that are registered appendix quarter horses, or one parent that is a quarter horse and one parent that is an appendix quarter horse. ACA also issues a racing register of merit, which allows a horse to race on quarter horse tracks, but not be considered a quarter horse for breeding purposes, unless other requirements are met. A stallion who has won many races may be put up to stud when he is retired. Artificial insemination and embryo transfer technology, allowed only in some breeds, has brought changes to the traditions and ease of breeding. Pedigrees of stallions are recorded in various books and websites, such as Weather by Stallion Book, the Australian Stud Book and Thoroughbred Heritage. The conditioning program for the different horses varies depending on the race length. Genetics, training, age, and skeletal soundness are all factors that contribute to a horse's performance. The muscle structure and fiber type of horses depends on the breed, therefore, Genetics must be considered when constructing a conditioning plan. A horse's fitness plan must be coordinated properly in order to prevent injury or lameness. If these are to occur, they may negatively affect a horse's willingness to learn. Sprinting exercises are appropriate for training 2-year-old race horses, but the number is limited by psychological factors as well as physical. A horse's skeletal system adapts to the exercise it receives. Because the skeletal system does not reach full maturity until the horse is at least 4 years of age, young race horses often suffer injuries. Taken from BBC and Wikipedia. Thanks for watching.